said to me afterwards, if we were 10 minutes later, you would have been died. It took them 30 minutes before they could put me in the ambulance to get my saturation up to 91%. And in the emergency room, I had to mask like the COVID patients. It's horrible. If they stayed there for weeks, I only had it for 1 hour and a half. It's mentally, it was, for people of COVID, I think it was almost a breakdown. So that was the daily life. We don't have any deaths yet. In France, the average people who died from Asian hornets is 14. I had a conference I listened to from Jesus Feas, a researcher in Spain, and he said in the hospital of Santiago de Compostela, 75% of the sting accidents are due to Asian hornets last year. 75%. So I expect to have more and more every year, and it's waiting until we have the first death. So I was in the newspaper, I told that I was stuck as well, and maybe I was the first death. So I expect it within 1 or 2 years. So that's the impact on the daily life. Okay, some other things we learned. There's a correlation between primary and secondary nest. We already know it now. For instance, there was a primary nest under the eave of the house, and I found a secondary nest at only 30 meters away in the other garden. Yeah? Another location, a primary nest in the wall. There was an opening in the wall. There was a very beautiful nest, and I saw from there with my binoculars a nest on top of this fort. Castle, fort, yeah, on top of it. So that's 75 meters away. So when I'm teaching pest controllers, I always say when you are in July, August, just look at the flight direction. I often need only one hornet to see where she's going to. If she's going towards a tree, 90% of the occasions is because they are starting a secondary nest over there. Yeah. Sometimes they only use the tree to fly over it because they use it for directional flights, but most of the time it's because they have a secondary nest already built over there. So I search nests, and that's something you have to learn here. I know the UK rule says you can't catch and release a hornet. If you catch them, you have to kill them, but you don't have to catch and release to search nests. I told it yesterday as well. I don't know if someone was at the workshop yesterday here. No? Yeah? Okay. I go quick over it. So I'm living here. The green dots are the destroyed nest. The black dots not yet destroyed. Yeah? So end of spring trapping was 31st of May. 1st of June I start with my big bait stations, and I found my first nest 5 days later. Yeah. They were from the big base station. I put 5 big base stations around me, and they were flying from there directly over there under the eave of the house. I never touched a hornet at that moment. I only looked at the big base station, and I saw, oh, she's flying that direction. And then it's looking in that direction. Because in the beginning, when they are small, the nest, with only 20 workers, and they are very small, they don't fly 500 meters, they stay within 200 meters, maybe 300, but they don't fly that far in the beginning. The next one, 4 days later, was in a bird box. So that's a little bit more difficult to search because it's in the garden, but if they fly in the garden, I rang doors. Another nest, 6 days later, is flying in that, what is it, where electricity is. And how did I find that? That's what I said, I'm born for luck. There's a big base station at 3 meters away. I was looking at the big base station, and in the corner of the eye I saw the hornet flying in. So already 3 nests, only with monitoring big base stations, not catching, marking, releasing. So the Asian hornet's nest is inside there, and that's an old wasp nest as well, in the same box for the electricity. Then another one, flying from my big base station to this part of the house. Yeah, you see it, I saw them flying that direction. just looking. Yeah. So the important lesson is, everybody can search nests only by observing hornets at wind base stations. So you don't have to call NBU to say, okay, you have to mark them and timing them in the beginning. You don't need to do that because they don't fly very far. Then you don't need to catch the hornets, so it's not a problem with the law. And in my opinion, everybody has to put the wing base station in front of the kitchen window. Yeah, because then you will see there are hornets, there is a nest in the neighborhood. Even if you never had one, and you put the wing base station in the beginning, the beekeepers say, oh, but we will attract all the hornets in the nest. No, they don't do a bee dance. It's a wasp, it's not a bee. If a hornet finds your beehives or your wing base station, she doesn't go back to say in the nest, oh, I found the McDonald's, it's over there. No, they don't do a bee dance. Yeah? So that's very important to know. Okay, the next weeks, another nest. And that is the thing you can't do yet, but I've put a streamer on it. It's something I learned in the Asian Hornet group in Jersey. Yeah? So to put a streamer on it, because sometimes when they fly a direction, it's not always easy to see. So the streamers, you see here, a small one, a long one, some wasp, because it's wasp attractants. So it's over there, and some were flying to the left and to the right of the house. At that moment, I didn't want to search that long. Normally, I only stay 15 minutes at the wing base station per day. So it doesn't a lot of time I'm searching nests. I have other things to do as well. So what did I do? I took one with a streamer on it in my butterfly net. I went to the end of the street. It's approximately 75 meters because I didn't time them. I don't know how far to search. And I released her over here. So from there to here, yeah, 1 minute of walking, I released her, and she was flying from here to there. Yeah, they came from this side, left and right of the houses, to go to the nest. Again, in the eaves of the house. Marking hornets, yeah, if you have a lot of hornets like that, it's in Jersey, some of them are marked. Even this, you don't have to catch and release the hornets. When they are on a feeding station, if you take your Posca pen from behind her, I think it's the next one, yeah? If you are standing behind, you can touch her, and it's marked, so you didn't catch her, so you didn't release her. That's the gray zone of the law. You can mark them, because why do you need to mark them? Because you need the timing. The moment she leaves from the wing base station, and for instance, she's back after 3 minutes, then you know the nest is approximately 300 meters away from where you are standing. That's the formula of John, the founder of the Jersey Asian Hornet Group. 100 meters per minute they are away from the wing base station. So another thing I think you have to, you need to have in the UK, more people who are allowed to catch, mark, and let them go, release her. Because the NBU is 160 people working on Asian hornets, something like that. The moment you have 25,000 nests, they can't find them with 160. So it's the same in Jersey. Everybody that's a volunteer over there. We got a license that we can release the hornets again. So I think after some years, sometimes 5 years maybe from now, more people should be allowed to mark and release hornets in the UK. Some more figures. The next month I found 4 primary and 3 secondary nests in the neighborhood of where I'm living. And then in September I walked around with my binoculars, and in total I found 22 more secondary nests in trees, only by watching with my binoculars, just walking around. And when I was in Jersey, I explained to the volunteers over there, I'm not searching nests. I'm searching for hornet activity. If you see a tree with a fountain of hornets leaving and entering the tree, there must be a nest inside of that. Another thing I explained, I'm searching the highways of hornets. I was on the beach and I saw hornets flying from left to right and from right to left. I know where I was standing, left from me, there is a lot of ivy, So I'm assuming that right for me there is the nest, and indeed I found the nest over there. If you see a lot of hornets, there must be a nest nearby. Yeah, or in my occasion, 22 nests nearby. Yeah. So something you have to learn is start immediately after spring trapping. I'm starting in 1st of June. I heard a talk from Jackie Thomas, I think she's from the Kent Beekeepers Association. I think in November she said, oh, this year we don't put traps anymore for spring trapping. We don't search nests only for 3 weeks in August. They will put up big base stations to search the nest. I start the 1st of June. If I only had to put up big base stations 3 weeks in August, I will never find 22 nests. Maybe I find 3 or 4, something like that. So I think it's a bad decision they made over there. But with only 163 nests, oh, spoiler alert for the next thing, with only 163 nests in the UK, it isn't a problem yet. Yeah? But start immediately after spring trapping. Some advantages are you only have one nest to search, the primary. They are not already in a secondary nest. So that's an advantage. You see, even if there are only a few hornets, I find the nest. The small nest, only that big in the electricity cage, I think there were 35 hornets in it. So that's every 2 minutes, not every second like in the big nest like that. It's every 2 minutes that the hornet leaves or comes. But I find it by just walking around and looking. It's cheaper to destroy them. I don't know if I don't think you have to pay now for destroyment of the nests, but there will be, if they, like in Holland, 600 euro per nest. They stopped funding it because it's too expensive. And it's better for biodiversity. If they are small, the nests, they don't consume that much bees, for instance. But if the nest is a size like that one, yeah, at the end of the season, one study of France, they said 11 kilograms of insect bodies, not a full bee. Yeah? I think it's more because there are reports of hornets coming 70 times to the beehive to catch a bee. That's already 70 times 10 grams. Yeah? And if there are 3,000 worker hornets in a nest, over a season it's 13,000, but at high season, I call it, 3,000 workers, I think it's far more than 11 kilograms, 100,000 insects. The insect room told me, or I saw it in his report. So since a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, we have the new techniques of the Robert Nature Kit. Tom Bickerdijk told about it yesterday, I told about it yesterday. This is a tag of 160 milligrams. I have a new one, only 80 milligrams. So now we can start in primary nest as well. With this tag, we had to wait until the hornet was big enough. But now you can start immediately when the first worker is born, because they did test with Polistes wasp from 150 milligrams. First generation of hornets is around 200 milligrams. And the Polistes wasps could fly with the new tags. Last year in the UK, they found around 50 nests with those tags. They went to New Zealand as well to help them, so and they found a lot of nests already. So normally they use with 160 milligrams, but the new tags now for this year are the smaller ones. If you don't do it, that will be the situation as it is in some parts of France and Galicia. When all the guard bees are caught, they try to enter the beehive. So the only solution the beekeeper has is putting queen excluders in front of it. So now the hornets can't enter anymore. Because otherwise, when all the guard bees are taken away, there are two types of hornets. Hornets collecting proteins and hornets collecting sugars. At that moment, the hornets collecting sugars want to enter to collect all the honey. So that's the situation as it is now in a lot of places in France. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to search for the nests, because if there are no nests in the neighborhood, you will